you.
I'm like, you can't use it.
Piggyback
So I
off
hope it's not
of
like this.
the message this
And it can be
morning.
kind of
By the way,
aggressive,
I'll
like,
open it up.
it's my
Anybody,
hand if I don't pet it.
if anybody has
And he
anything
used his bad paw the other day, so he didn't
about the
I was like, haha.
about the message this morning, then you know, here's your chance to talk about it. Did y'all learn anything about? I know some of you probably didn't learn much about it because we kind of had a discussion about that Joshua stone. I've been chomping at the bit wanting to do a message on that thing, but couldn't figure out how to do it, and then that one just kind of worked out. So
Seems like God was the one keeping his promise throughout, and
He
not
was.
people. It's a recurring theme that works well with our nation, even with Israel today.
yeah, and you know, of course, you know, that was just Judges chapter 8. I mean, you know, there's a lot going on in Judges that it's impossible to talk about everything. But, you know, basically people were doing, you know, that which was right in their own eyes. But I just thought it really interesting, and when you start looking at the book of Judges, that is a big bite out of the book of Judges. I don't know if you consider that God, when God gives a storyline like that, it means something, like the book of Ruth. There's almost as much dedicated to that event, to Gideon and the Shechem event, as there is to the book of Ruth or Esther. It's a big bite. It means something.
Well, it goes with what Joshua said in 24, when he said, are you going to serve God or gods which your fathers served? And that's sort of what happens in Judges too, like
Yep.
with Gideon. That's like a really direct one with his dad,
Yep.
right?
Right.
So it kind of goes to show like the traditions that we may have are not necessarily always 100% right.
Yeah, you got definitely beware of traditions, and you know, and just you know, when you believe, when you become a believer, that's when you have to start realigning your convictions and, you know, what you're willing to accept. That's what's more important than what you're taught or how you're raised or even the culture that you're in. And because we didn't always, as a nation, we have not always been a nation that honored the scriptures. Okay, that's you know, you see different awakenings happening, and you got to wonder, well, what happened just prior to those awakenings? It was kind of a falling back, almost a Shechem event. You can witness just prior to most awakenings. A lot of violence, a lot of people doing whatever it is they want. They're making up their own rules. So, with that, anything else? Well, let's look in Deuteronomy chapter 28. We ventured in it a little bit with the blessings, but there's some things, and you know, and I don't know how long, you know, if we'll be able to go through all of these things, but I think it's worth noting what these things look like, and it is the curses. So we'll start there at about chapter 15. I'm sorry, verse 15 and 16 of chapter 28 of Deuteronomy. Let everybody get there. 15 for the context, and then the first curse that's mentioned there is in 16. Is everybody there? Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. Isaac, you wanna take that one?
That shall come to pass, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully all his commandments and his statutes which I command you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the country.
All right. So for verse 15, just to kind of give you a summary of what this is, it is a reference to a national event. Okay, so this is nationally. This is what will happen to the nation that does these things. Now, as I was looking at these, just because nationally it's happening doesn't mean it's individually happening. Does that make sense? Because when Israel was in Egypt, nationally things were going on, the plagues. But individually for Israel, in their little small community, they were being preserved. They were not dealing with the same problems that Israel or that Egypt nationally was dealing with. Does that make sense? So God can do the same thing to you, right? So, verse 16. What do you think about that verse, Isaac?
I would say it's there's not going to be a place that's well. God knows what saying. It's going to be happening to everybody. It's not going to be just like isolated on like the city dwellers or just like those in the countryside. It's just everyone's going to like feel the effects or going to be aware of like the curses when they come down the nation.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't matter where you're at in the city life or rurally, your life experience is going to be rough. Okay. Everybody's going to have issues. It doesn't matter if you're in the city or if you're the farmer, right? So kind of like, well, I mean, honestly, we're kind of seeing that right now, right? It doesn't matter if you're in the city. It doesn't matter if you're a farmer. There's problems. There's problems. Now, granted, there are certain individuals, they're not having problems, but nationally, there's a problem, right? So I think it's catering more towards like your lifestyle, your job, whatever it is that you do to make a living. That is cursed. There's problems. There's troubles there. Any more thoughts on that?
Well, when the biggest judgment comes, people go in the mountains and say, "Fall on us," right?
That's true.
It's just scale right here.
Yep. Let's look at verse 17 there. Brother Sean, you want to take that one?
First shall be thy basket and thy store.
All right. So you got a short one there. What do you think?
It's obviously a play when reaping what you sow.
Yeah. Well, the basket is, it's where what you use to carry your food in, what you harvest it. So it's telling them you're going to have problems with your food. There's going to be food issues. Maybe the lack thereof. Maybe even problems with it. Period. I mean,
Full of microplastics.
right, or E. coli, or whatever. There are problems with the food supply. That's what that verse is saying. So pay attention as you go through these. This would be on a national scale. Okay, that's what this is really referring to. On a national scale, what's going on? Is there a problem with the food supply? Don't try to buy a steak, right? There's a lack thereof, and it's really expensive. Let's look at the next one, verse 18. Sarah?
First shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
What do you think that one's talking about?
Well, the fruit of thy body would be like your children.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, there's reproduction issues going on, not just with animals, but also with people. And I don't know about you, but I know so many people that actually can't have kids.
Fertility crisis.
Yeah, there is a fertility crisis.
They said Gen Alpha is like 40 million, and every previous generation was like 70 to 80 million.
Right. Yeah, there's a lack, whether they just can't or they ain't.
Raising mortality cliff for boom as well.
Right.
So they're all about to start dying off, and it's going to be a whole different world when the boomers are gone.
Yep. And it would also carry over into the livestock area too, I just thought about this. Like this year, like I love to hatch chicks. I don't know, maybe some of y'all know that about me, but I have had the toughest time this year just getting chicks to hatch. It's been weird. Like horrible, like 10% would hatch. And that's crazy. Like I'm just saying it's weird. So I don't know if it's everywhere, but anyway.
All these so far are sort of a material things that we've laid up on earth, right?
Yep.
And even the basket in the store, the way you do it.
Mhm.
And like we said earlier with America's history, every time we start turning towards putting these things first, it may not necessarily work out that well for us in the long term. I think that's what God's showing here, right? That, like, why would people go and serve other gods? It was usually for some material benefit.
It is.
It was either harvesting or offering their children up was always like for their own material, you know.
Right. Yeah, no,
Selfishness.
you can really you can really center in, like, if you know, if you are actually doing something, that's gonna be the area that God allows to be targeted the most, the area that you care about the most. If you're struggling in some things, does that make sense? It doesn't mean it's going to be like none, but it's going to be tough if you personally are having some things going on. It doesn't mean that, you know, it's all your fault. It's not always like that, but sometimes it is, and you just have to like kind of, well, am I like Job? Have I actually done everything that I'm supposed to do? Then this is for a different reason. And often the other reason would be because God is actually trying to reach somebody through you, so he's allowing something to happen to you. But if things are happening to you and it's your fault, I think you could probably look at yourself and like, you know what, I haven't been faithful like the way I know I should be. And you can, if you can dial that in and say, you know what, I know I have been faithful, then this is for a different reason if something's going on. But if something's going on and you haven't been faithful, you might as well just put that red flag on top of that thing. Okay? Let's look at verse 19. Anybody else got any comments so far? All right, verse 19. Addison, you got that?
Sure. You will be cursed when you come in and cursed when you go out.
What do you think of that is?
It's meaning, I think it's another kind of like reap what you sow thing, that if you choose to continuously live in disobedience, that you can expect the blessings to come in on your life.
Yeah, everywhere. Well, if you're home or if you're away from home, basically there's no safe place, right? So here's your clue. Do people feel safe at home? Do they feel safe when they leave home? Or you're like, I have concerns. You know, there's no way I'm going to sleep at night when my door's unlocked, right? There's no way, I don't feel comfortable even going to certain places without, you know, a means of equalizing, right? When that's what this verse is talking about, okay? When there is no safe place, not at home, not away from home. Thoughts? Let's look at 20. Can we pick that?
The Lord will send on you curses, confusion, and frustration in all that you undertake to do, until you are destroyed and quickly perish on account of the evil of your deeds, because you have forsaken me.
All right. You got a big verse. You want to tackle it?
I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, you'll be cursed, confused, frustration, and anything you try to do. Basically, you'll feel like you're being attacked because of the evil.
Think nationally. Think nationally.
Nationally?
Think nationally. What does that look like?
Well, there's a lot of confusion, definitely, in our nation. People confused on who they even are.
Absolutely.
Personally.
Yeah. Here, this is when I was looking at this, I started thinking, well, what are people confused about on a national scale? Well, we've got all these problems going on. The economy is going on, the food problem, and nobody knows how to effectively deal with the problem. Like, nobody knows how to deal with the problem. Nobody actually has the right answer, right? Like, which political party is saying, listen, we just need the whole country to repent and get back to the basics of the Bible? That's the right answer. Who's saying that? Nobody. Right? Nobody has the right answer. They're like, well, maybe if we do this, maybe if we do that. and then they make excuses. They
I'm not saying that's what they did, but at Charlie Kirk's funeral, quite a few had to state proclaim Jesus in the pulpit.
they did.
Which was a blessing to see, you know, just to hear the head of state proclaiming Jesus was pretty miraculous in its own right, because we haven't had that in a long time.
No, and you know, and there's a lot of talk out in the air about you know, is this a third awakening
And I'm
happening?
not saying that it was all perfect, but to hear that many people who are in the government talk about Christ, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm just hoping they're not doing lip service. You know,
Well, yeah, exactly.
politicians can be trusted about as much as you know, being in a Hungry
I'm not
Lions
saying I
cage.
believe any of them, but I'm just saying it was a welcome change of rhetoric, I'll put it that way.
It was, yep. Yeah. One of the things about this verse that I think you can look at is, what does the division of thinking processes, what does that look like in a nation? Are they miles apart?
Well, in our nation it is.
Because
it'd be considered extremism.
Yeah, it hasn't always been like that. There was a point in time where, you know, both the parties, they really were concerned about, you know, how the nation was going to go, how the structure of it. They had a few different ideas about how to get from this point to this point, but it wasn't radical ideas either direction. So when you see a huge split and confusion in between, that's a sign of this is going on. Let's look at verse 21 through 22. Who's up? Noah, you want to take those two verses?
The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blastings, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish.
What do you think's going on there?
They're gonna have a lot of problems.
Yeah, people have very sick bodies, right?
Pestilence disease.
People have very sick bodies. Do y'all know anybody with a sick body? Bunch of folks have sick bodies, and they don't know how to cure any of it. You know that one right there, where's it at? Lost my verse there. The consumption, that's a cancer. That means cancer. Cancer is like, you know, do you know anybody who hasn't had cancer? Almost. It's easier to know somebody with cancer than without, almost. If you, that's what that's talking about. Let's go on to the next one. Let's look at 23 and 24. Josh, you want to take that? I'm sorry, Isaac.
And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed.
What do you think's going on there?
Quite sure about the
Feel
metal.
like we're gonna be ground in a meal.
Yeah, weather is harsh. It's very unfavorable. Causes crop failures, and
It probably just lines up with the famine. And
it does. It all lines up, and that's just part of this problem. Let's look at 25 through 26. Josh, I'll let you have that one stuff.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all the fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the field, and no man shall crave them away.
What do you think?
This would go with the last ones. There is no escape from this judgment that you've sort of. This is the reaping and sowing coming together.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, all this is reaping what you've sown, because you've chosen to remove yourself from God's blessing This is a program in the earth that when you remove yourself from God's blessing, you're under the program, and it is a cursed event.
The beginning of the chapter says, if you would follow God, then He would set you on a high above all the nations of the earth, right?
Absolutely.
It's just like when right before the law is given
Mhm.
on Mount Sinai, He says, if you obey my commands, you'll be a peculiar treasure indeed. So there's always that qualifier, like, are you actually going to say yes to God and listen? And if not, well, this is...
And in the context of Israel and himself, the scattering that happens there after being struck down by their enemies, and it says that they scattered to all the countries of the world. That actually happened. They're actually, the state of Israel didn't exist again until what, 40s or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, God painted a big picture with them.
They were scattered all over the world.
Right. So yeah, I mean, people would just basically they become enemies of each other. You just don't know who you can trust. You don't know who's your friend, who's your foe, and it gets worse as you go through this. But they're just enemies everywhere, and you just can't get rid of them. There's nothing that you can do to get them out of your hair. They're everywhere.
I think it's like what we talked about, I think it was like a few weeks ago, saying that there's like a lack of trust in people now than there used to be. And I mean, you could definitely see that like people just don't trust people anymore. Like there's
No.
just a lack of feeling in general, just feeling safe, like a basic
Absolutely.
need of safety.
Yep. Let's look at 27. Micah?
The Lord will smite thee with the plague of Egypt, with the hemorrhoids and with the scab, and with the itch thereof thou canst not be healed.
What do you think's going on there?
Mine says tumors instead of hemorrhoids.
Same.
Yeah. Well, it's basically odd things just show up on your skin is basically what it's going on. Just weird skin issues. Yeah, that's basically what it is. Have you seen any of that? Maybe some people have actually experienced some of it. Just some weird skin issues. I actually saw a guy one time. I don't know what he had, but he had warts all over his body. And it looked a little bit creepy to me. I was a kid. I'm like, I'd never seen anybody like that. But yeah, I thought that had to be kind of an odd skin condition. But there's so many other things too. That eczema is bad. When I was a recruiter, we wouldn't even let people in the Air Force if they had extreme eczema. They weren't allowed to join. Isn't that something? Because I guess it can get really bad when you get under like certain situations.
Stress makes it worse. So that wouldn't be a good environment.
Well, that may be what causes it. It's just people are just so stressed that they have these weird skin issues.
Same
Yeah.
with acne.
Yep. Let's look at the next one. 28, 29. Isaac, back to you.
Sure. The Lord will strike you with madness and blindness and confusion of heart, and you shall grope at noonday as a blind man gropes in darkness. You shall not prosper in your ways. You shall be only oppressed and plundered continually, and no one will save you.
Yeah, this is my favorite one out of this group, I think. What do you think it means there, Isaac?
Well, I think it just means that people are going to have a lot more mental health issues. They're just going to be lost without a purpose. They're going to you can kind of see that today. It's just there's so much nihilism, nothing really matters. What is truth? That statement from Pontius Pilate is supposed to be sarcastic, but it's people don't think that. People really think that now, right? And it's just they don't know what to do with themselves, and it just there's nobody to deliver them from it, right? This is a post-modern society we live in.
Right. You're supposed to accept people being out of their heads, right? You basically said almost the same thing I did. Anybody else got anything on it?
Verse 20 says vexation, and then again here it says astonishment of heart. So that confusion angle, and that's coming from God here, that seems to be prevalent throughout this chapter.
Right.
and this goes with what Isaac said, is,
Yeah.
people aren't gonna know what the truth even is. We're talking about all these issues, like what's going on with, the political landscape, with our health and everything. Well, people can't even agree on the fundamental truth of what the problem is anymore, even if it's obvious. Like if you look at what's going on
Mhm.
with health in this society, there are some obvious fixes, but we can't even agree on that.
Yep.
And confusion is just so normalized, like people are like, oh, well, they're just confused, like, it's not a normal thing to just be confused about everything.
Yeah,
all the time.
everything is up for debate, right?
Mhm.
Except what I believe. What I believe is not up for debate.
Exactly.
Even though I'm confused about.
Because that's your truth.
Yeah, yeah. Really, people just this verse is talking about. You'll see people, they're just out of their minds. They've lost their minds. They are lost in their crazy thoughts. Like Isaac said, they think life, there is no purpose. They have no purpose in their life, and they think that there's no purpose.
Well, when everything's up for debate with this, then God is up for debate among the people, right?
Right.
And that's kind of where the whole thing started, right? It's like, have God really said? And
Yep.
now that's being applied to absolutely everything.
You know. Let's look at verse 30. Brother Sean.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and ye shall not gather the grapes thereof.
All right, so a little bit of I guess some symbology. I'd say probably in
Basically,
that.
all your
but-
plans are gonna fail. Everything you plan is gonna
yeah,
be thwarted and fail. You won't be able to realize your goals.
yeah. You really you see right here where it says that it starts off he betroths a wife, and so basically he's married to the woman, but somebody else takes her. So what you end up having is you have a collapse in the whole institution of marriage, of the family, and what a family looks like. A family would look like building a house together, having a livelihood together, and all of those things fall apart. Like
They're
it's-
investments.
Hmm?
It's like they're investments. Like
Yeah.
when you start building a house, you're not sleeping on a roof, or when you plant a vineyard, you're not eating right away, right?
Right.
And a betrothal is a future promise of marriage.
Yeah.
So it's all future planning. It's all stuff that, like you're building a house for the future, you're building a vineyard for the future, you're building a marriage for the future, all that stuff's gonna be forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like people, just like Josh was saying, that they eat the seed that they need to plant, right? For a marriage to work, I mean, you need a pretty solid, lifestyle before, if you're going to marry somebody, they need a clean heart, right? I mean, if their heart is out there, very promiscuous to everything, then how's that going to work out? It's not going to work at all,
We
So-
talked about how there's no escape from God's judgment from His curses, right? Well, now we've gotten the past, present, and future too. Because first you have like the traditions and these
Sure.
ideas, right? And then earlier we talked about the fruit of the land and the
Mhm.
present, and now we have vineyards coming up and the house and betrothed and everything. So it's
Yeah.
like even past, present, future. God's sort of saying it's like at the next level of you're not going to escape from this.
Just everywhere. Let's look at verse 31. Sarah, who am I at? Okay.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them.
What do you think?
You don't get to, well, it's not even just taken away, it's also slain. What you have is destroyed or stolen. And
Yeah, when everything seems to be a thief, right? Thieves everywhere. Especially when it's the government. who's doing a majority of this thieving, you know, what can you do about it? You can't do anything about it, right? It's like you just try to make it through. But yeah, thieves everywhere.
No justice.
No justice. That's exactly what it's saying. Thieves everywhere, no justice.
No bail.
Yep, no bail. Let's look at verse 32, Madison.
Your sons and daughters will be given to another nation, and you will wear out your eyes watching for them day after day, powerless to lift a hand.
What do you think?
I think it means that another, just talking about it being in general, like discontent and stuff, like the things most important are going to be taken away because you are choosing to be disobedient.
Right. And you know, really, when you look at this, you say it's so when it says the children are taken away, they may and given to another nation, another idea, another way of life. So basically what they're saying is that the children will basically reject the ideas of their parents, and they will accept someone else and their ideas and reject everything that they've grown up with. And man, I've seen that. I've seen that so much. Any more thoughts on that?
That reminds me of Zedekiah, right? It's a little bit different, but I mean, his children are taken away. He loses his eyes, actually, right?
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His children are taken away by different.
Yeah, that was literally taken away.
Yeah, that's like a literal example of what's happening. But he says die here.
Mhm.
That's horrible to the nation.
Yep. Yeah, look at verse 33. I mean, that kind of goes along with it. Where we at, Cameron?
A nation that you have not known shall eat the fruit of your ground and of your labors, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed continually.
What do you think that's saying?
What you have won't end up being yours anymore. They'll take it.
Yeah, on a national scale, the nation becomes indebted to another country, to other nations. So if you see the nation being completely in debt to another nation or other nations, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign, because that means the economy is like in somebody else's control.
Yeah.
Let's look at what is it, 34?
I get 34 kind of connected to 33.
Yeah, you can read that one too if you want.
So that you are driven mad by the sights that your eyes see.
Yeah.
So I should make those.
Yeah, and everyone's angry about it, right? Anybody not angry with the national debt? Everybody's mad about it. Nobody will do anything about it.
Yeah, what are we at? Does it matter? Like, I mean, how many trillions?
We're waiting on that crypto reset.
It's in 30 now.
30 trillion.
It's in 30s.
Is it just 30? I thought
It's in the 30s. I
Yeah.
think.
Look at verse 35 through 37. No, you want to take that one? Is it your turn?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's turn.
And the Lord shall smite thee in thy knees and in thy legs, and store botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, into the nations which neither thou nor my fathers have known. And there shall be serve other gods, wood and stone. How far?
37.
And thou shalt become an
Yep.
astonishment, and a proverb by word among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
What do you think is going on there? Anybody want to help him? That was a little
It's
tougher.
pretty interesting to me that like it all everywhere, like the Lord's like already predicting. It's like, you know, when you eventually set up a king, because I know you will,
Yeah.
and it'll be a
Yeah.
sign that like your society is decaying. You will be driven to these other nations, and like your folly
will be used as like a proverb or just like an example of what not to do from these other nations. And it kind of reminds me of like the fall of Babylon the Great. And it's just like these kings are on looking. It's just like you see what happened to them. Like these people who were once so high now brought so low. Like you shouldn't have been messing with them.
No, it really is like that. I mean, in the Revelation scenario, you have the Babylon the Great kingdom that's going on, and when you start, and it's a worldwide kingdom. So when you start seeing it collapse, then on a worldwide basis, you would witness these same things, right? On a worldwide basis. So if you see this on a worldwide basis, know that Babylon the Great has fallen. So that would be a good thing, right? Because that means Jesus' return is like, we know what comes after that chapter, right? That he comes back, the marriage supper of the Lamb, Jesus Christ comes back.
Yeah, this is a proverb, right? This is not like all these curses we just read. It wasn't like, oh, God's just, oh, I don't like what you do, so take that. It's all for a reason.
It is. It's all the point that God is in control, and when you remove yourself from his blessings, from his protection, this is the reaping what you sow category. So I know, and I was thinking as we were going through it, that you could get really depressed by looking at this and you're like, okay, I see all this going on. You can be a Goshen in this world. And God actually wants his people. He says, you are peculiar people. Yeah, you will see some of these things. You may be touched with some of the feelings of these infirmities, but to be in the catastrophic event that's going on, this is not what God puts on his people for the most part. Unless he is really trying to reach somebody else, or for whatever reason, you are Daniel in Babylon, or you are Job and God is trying to reach this world that's really got a bad idea of who God is supposed to be, or you're Jesus, who are like Jesus, who's like a Messiah, who's trying to point other people back to him, to God. For the most part, if you maintain faithfulness, and God allows you to be blessed despite all the curses that are falling upon the rest of the world. I mean, look, when Egypt was going through the famine, what did God do? He made a way for Israel to be preserved, even though the world was falling apart. Israel was getting rich. And when they went to Egypt, even when the plagues were going on, guess what they did? God enriched them on the way out. God takes care of his people. And that's what we need to see, that if you see these things going on, that should make you want to double down on being faithful to God. That's what this is. That's why God shows you these things. That's why he is giving it to you. That if you see this going on around you, you need to say, you know what? I'm recommitting my life to Christ. I want to make sure I'm being faithful. And you will witness God turning a ton of things around in your favor, despite the world going to hell in a handbasket, right? Mm-hmm. He would do that for his people, to make you like, well, how can you handle this? Why are you different? And people look and they're like, there is something going on there that we need. That's really why the Charlie Kirk thing has been so revolutionary right now, is because people are looking at him and he's got this total different mindset as the rest of the generation that he was brought up with. And they're like, man, how is he able to handle this? Why does he look like he's doing so much better? Of course, the devil wants to put a stop to it. But all he did, the devil messes up sometimes. And he wants to take people out, but he messes up. He miscalculates what that's going to do, because he works on pure emotion, right? That's what he does. Still kill, destroy, emotionally. Man, I can't stand this guy. He's messing up my plans. Let me take him out. He did the same thing with Jesus. It didn't work so well then either. So when you try to crush God's ideas, all you do is you just make it blossom even more. Like I forget who it was, Tertullian or something like that. I can't even say his name right. The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the gospel. Who was it that said that? Is that the right name? One of those guys. Jerome, him, I don't know.
I think it was Jerome, yeah.
It might be Jerome. So when you see those things happening, you got to know God is actually working to reach into those lives, and He uses these things when people are, look, this place is messed up. What's the real cure? All of a sudden, there's an idea over here. I've never heard that idea before. It's powerful.
Tertullian said the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church.
What? Who was it?
Tertullian.
Oh,
He said, yeah, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church.
we'll figure. Man, that often doesn't happen to me. Let's
That's part of the good way out anyway.
let's go ahead and skip down to verse 59 through 68. That's kind of the last bit. Where did Ozzy, D, you want to take those? 59 through 68. I know it's a little bit to read, but
Okay, yeah. Then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt which thou hast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. And every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do good, and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you, and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked off from the land, whether thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth to the other. And thou shalt serve other gods, and neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot find rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have no assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would God it were even, and at even thou shalt say, Would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into the Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
what do you think? No, that was a big bite out of that chapter. So basically, when you wrap all this up, he tells us there the first part of that passage, I think verse 59, that all these things going on don't happen overnight. It's a process. It takes it has a longevity. As God allows a space for repentance, but the failure to repent of the nation means these just get worse and worse and worse until finally God sends another nation in, and they're scattered, they're taken, they're dissolved. And you could say, well, this is just talking to Israel. There's no nation that's ever risen to any kind of power that did not happen to. That when they continued down this path and they rejected God and His principles, then they started suffering all these things, and they were the same type of things happened to them just as much as what had happened to Israel. It's just for Israel, God wrote it down, and I don't know if He made this observation too, but God puts a whole lot more emphasis on the curses than He does the blessings. It's almost like in the New Testament, Jesus talked a whole lot more about hell than He did heaven, because He wants you to beware. You know, nobody puts up a sign that says friendly dog. It's always beware dog, right? So I think that's the way God is. It's like he just wants, and most dogs are friendly. But when there's that sign of beware, it's like, okay, my attention is alerted. I'm looking out. I'm ready. And that's what God is doing here. He wants you, when you see these things, reevaluate your life, your life's choices. What's going on in your family? Is it nationally? Do you see these things going on nationally? Okay, I see them nationally. Am I starting to see these things in my family? It's getting too close to home. Double down on God's principles, His faithfulness. Reunite yourself with Jesus Christ. Become reacquainted. Strengthen that relationship. And see if that doesn't make a tremendous difference in what God actually does in your life. And not even just your life, but your friends. Not even just your friends. Your family. Your friends that you're around. Your acquaintances. The place where you work. It will start experiencing blessings for the sole reason you're there. You're there. So, with that, any final thoughts that anybody may have? Yes, sir.
It is pretty interesting, the wording there of just like it would please God to send these curses and to destroy you. And I'm like, okay, I'm not Calvinist, so let's see what we can do about that. And if you read over to Deuteronomy 1 through 3, or 31 through 3, you'll probably get to that in a couple days, but it's just like, now it shall come to pass when all these things come upon you, the blessings and the curse which I have set before you, and that you call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God drives you, and you return to the Lord your God and obey His voice, according to all that I command you, you and your children with all your heart and all your soul, that the Lord will bring you back from captivity and have compassion on you, and gather you again from all the nations where the Lord hath scattered you. So it's like, the whole point is like, He's not pleased to destroy. It's like, oh, I just love just like sending curses on people. Right. But it's just, they are for the reconciliation back to Him.
Yeah, it's all about reconciliation. That's why God does it. That's why He gives the warning to reconcile you back, because the blessings.
It's like a parent. I mean, it's
absolutely.
Just like a parent, like, don't do that. Okay, well, you did it. Now let's find out what happens.
Think about how this chapter ends. It ends in Egypt, right? And they're slaves with no redeemer. Until we get to what Isaac said, right? It's like, here's what you ultimately, where you've arrived on your own without God.
Yeah. You need God. You need a redeemer. You need that anointed one to come in and get you out of this. If you're going to double down on something, double down on Jesus Christ, not the things in this world. That's really what it comes down to. And because this world, everything in it's going to pass away. Okay? Nothing, you do not get to take anything to heaven. No U-Haul will follow you to the grave. Thank you for that. Yep. Anybody else? Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this message. I know it seemed a little bit negative looking at those things, but Lord, we know that your blessings that you have your blessings set aside for your people. And I pray, Lord, that we would choose, as Joshua said, to live in your blessings, and to be faithful to you and to your cause, rather than to reject you and be put in this area of the curses in that environment. Lord, help us to choose you each and every day. As the Apostle Paul would say, I die daily to that world and be renewed to walk in the standards that Jesus Christ has set before us. So I pray, Lord, that you would just help us to understand these things and to apply these to our life. In Jesus' name I pray.